Good, I don't know, afternoon, morning, good evening, everyone. How are we all doing today? We're going to have another talk. We're going to have another little talk. And usually I would have broadcasted, because I try to do Sunday evenings now, so usually I would have broadcasted Sunday evening, but I figured I'd do it today. This is something I was thinking about for, I want to say like a month now or so, and a lot of people are really not talking about it. So I said, hey, you know what? I might as well just be the one to talk about it. With the Me Too movement, with men, particularly black men, which it doesn't really make sense, being scrutinized more than ever. I just wanted to bring up a discussion about the toxic feminine, because this is a very complex issue. So I'm not going to go into like every detail of all the complexities, because we could be here for 3 or 4 hours discussing it. Literally. That's how much, once you start breaking down the psychology of it, that's how much really starts to come to light. And I don't think I want to sit here with y'all. I don't know if y'all want to sit here for 4 hours, 3 hours, like going through every little detail. But we'll do a brief overview of the issue. And I've spoken with a lot of men that, they either have a toxic mother, or they come across women who carry this a very like nasty energy.
Popcorn.
No, you're not having popcorn right now. I'm
I
on live. No.
already made popcorn.
I'm not helping you with it then. You're gonna have to figure it out. I'm on live. All right, don't burn yourself. He's like, girl. He's like, girl, help me. Anyway, it's so weird. Every time I go, I could be doing nothing, but as soon as I go live, somebody always walks outside to fuck with me. I'm like, what's wrong with y'all? Anyway, so a lot of people will have like toxic mothers, have been in relationships with toxic women, know women who are toxic, and there's one energy specifically, and it's almost like these women have lost their goddamn minds. They done went crazy. And since in our society there's this, people should do womanism, not feminism, but there's this thing where everybody wants to be a feminist. I'm not a feminist. I'm never going to be a feminist. I'm about divine masculine and feminine balance. So I couldn't call myself a feminist. Plus, a lot of the ways that feminists act is they act in a way that dictates that they need to be like men. I don't need to be like no man, because I'm confident and strong in my own power. Like, I don't need to sit here and be like, oh, I need to act like a man. Do I have masculine energy that I can cultivate of my own? Absolutely. Do I have feminine energy? I love my feminine energy. I don't understand why a woman would want to be like a man, actually, because that's how much I appreciate my feminine energy. How much I've worked to cultivate my feminine energy, and how much I've really taken time to think about what it is to be a woman, and a lot of people don't take time to think about like what is it, what's so magical about being a woman, and with that being said, there are a lot of women that are people have mothers who can't find a man, can't get a man, are always nagging men that just done went straight crazy. And so they try and treat their son like that's their man, but it's like, ma'am, your son is not your man. Ma'am, your son is his own man. And you should have been, if you really wanted that relationship, you should have been doing the inner work so that you can love yourself enough to draw love into your life. And then you can have that mirror reflection of the love that you want to draw in. Instead, women are, with this rise in feminism, or with this unbalanced feminism that we have out here, a lot of women are thinking that what it is to be a woman is to go ahead and act and talk and communicate like a man, but that's not, and that might be an aspect of it, because you remember, once you start getting into the spiritual stuff, you become an androgynous being. You could tap into your masculine and tap into your feminine and mix it up and make that shit work for you. But when we're talking about people who are perhaps not so spiritually inclined or awakened yet, and we're talking about women who are perhaps not so spiritually inclined or awakened yet, they're coming from a space of so much pain that they've sustained and taken on from men that now they want to flip it and become men. These women are not doing cord cuttings. These women are not cleansing their wombs. These women are not meditating. Or if they are, it's like bullshit. They're not doing none of the healing work. So they figure, let me own my pain. Let me wear my pain like a coat. I don't want to become better. So they go ahead and become very toxic to other humans. Let me see my brother want. Sorry, guys. I had to be... my brother called me because we have like turtles, and they're land turtles. So sometimes in the summer we'll let them in the backyard. And we thought my son had let the dog out. So because we thought my son let the dog out, we thought the dogs was eating the turtle. And we had one turtle that unfortunately passed that way, and we try to avoid it now. Have peace with these animals. All right, so let's get back into the conversation. So what ends up happening a lot of times is that you have all these women that have been hurt by so many men and so many male figures in their life. I mean, you have a lot of women that have been molested. Probably about 90% of the women have been molested or have been raped, or both. And most of them have not done the healing work to clear some of that trauma. And a lot of the work I do with women helps them clear that trauma. The cord cutting helps cut ties with either abusers or exes. The intuitive reading helps you to know your child self and do some child inner work. It's a lot of child self healing, inner work healing. I mean, it comes up into the present day, but what I tend to find is that most people, especially most of the women I work with, the issues that they're having currently in their life can be traced back to actually a lot of childhood trauma. A lot of uncles touching. Y'all keep them uncles away from your daughters. There's a lot of uncles that touch little girls, a lot of their mama's boyfriends, and then you have these moms that, let's get into the moms. You have these moms that will treat their son like their boyfriend, and then they will treat their daughters like their competition. Like, hold up, bitch. And then you have some moms. I remember I was bartending a party last summer. Amazing family. I love them. They were so down to earth and chill. This was in Jersey. And everybody there was cool. But then you get the mama-daughter team, and they were super ratchet. So the mom, and these are all their cousins, so I don't even know why they felt the need to show out like this. Maybe there was two dudes there that they didn't know. The mom and the daughter start having like a twerking competition. Nothing wrong with twerking. I've seen some women that could twerk, and they're very talented as dancers, though. So it's not just the twerking. They're actually like dancers. They can actually dance. So the energy behind it is what makes the difference. And the energy behind it was that the mom and the daughter were in competition for dick. And I'm just kind of like, that's an example of toxic femininity, because you have had so much trauma instilled in you at a younger age. You instill pass it on to your own children. And if you don't clear the trauma, it gets passed along in the DNA, and the child that you have may magnetize those experiences. So no matter how much you try and keep them safe and keep those experiences away from them, you may end up actually having a child that ends up getting molested or raped like you do, and you feel like a failure as a parent, even though you did everything you could to avoid that situation. So it goes deep. It's a very complex issue in these days and times, and a lot of people are not talking about it. A lot of people are just blaming the men, but by blaming the men, it's good to, allow men to get to a space where they now have to learn more empathy, but women need to be empathetic towards men as well. These men get molested by their babysitters at a young age. That's why I never let just anybody watch my kid. It'd be a family member, and that's pretty much it. And it'd be either a brother or a sister, like a close family member or an auntie that been around my whole life, and I know she's legit, you know? So it'd be a babysitter. There was only one other babysitter I trusted, and she was my homegirl. It'd be a babysitter that'll play with your son's wee-wee when he's little, and that causes trauma because you don't know what's happening to you, and then you're a baby, and you can't stop that trauma from happening. So in order to, now these men are sexually activated at too early of an age, and then they're going out and they're wanting to explore sex. And then you have a culture where now the men think that it's cool to just catch as many bodies as possible, and then the women are under the same impression. And while I am under no, I don't judge anyone, because I understand that a lot of us are operating from a space of trauma, and we're trying to master the sex as a way to master our trauma, but it won't work. Actually doing the opposite and choosing not to have sex and doing a yoni cleanse and doing a cord cutting and meditating and going inside yourself and pulling that pain out, doing the hard things, that's what's actually going to help clear the trauma so that you can be happy and you finally don't feel the need to be so thirsty for dick or thirsty for pussy. Now you come to a space of balance. You know what I mean? Like, you don't feel like, man, something's missing. Man, something's missing. Man, something's missing. Man, I got to fill this hole up. I got to fill this hole up. Something's missing. Something's missing. Something's missing. You're not going to be under that anymore. You can break free from that cycle, and you can start to live a life where you now have changed the DNA in your family. That this is a form of alchemy. You see what I'm saying, y'all? Like, this goes real deep. This is a form of alchemy that you're doing. So it's going to be very important to take the time to really heal. And the women now are trying to use sex as a way to cover up their trauma. And a lot of women are starting to become savages. It's not even cool to be a savage no more. It's not even cool. It's just not cool to be that no more. Like, yo, son, you're playing yourself. Oh, I'm a savage. Oh, I'm a savage. And I went through my little savage stage too. And I realized that shit is for the birds. Bitch, throw that shit in the garbage. It's not going to work. Throw it in the garbage. It's for the birds. Okay? What you're going to want to do is abstain from having sex. Start to put some value into yourself and start to love yourself in a way that now you attract men that want to love you the way that you truly deserve to be loved. Because especially if you're a broken woman, having a strong man there and a very loving man and being healed enough to be able to actually appreciate that so you don't fuck it up. Because what'll happen is you don't feel that you deserve the love. You want it, but you don't feel you deserve it. So now you're going to go and cheat. You know what I mean? Now you're going to go and cheat, and you're going to go and do all this dumb shit and this fuck shit, and you out here stressing this nigga out or whatever. And he's going to leave you. And then you end up with a string of men that are constantly leaving you. And now you still you still got their DNA in you. You haven't done no wound cleansing. You haven't done no cord cutting. You haven't done no yoni cleansings. So now you have an influx of cords with other people's personalities attached to you. Do you even know who you are? You walking around thinking you somebody when really you're somebody else, because when you was a little kid and you was innocent, you was somebody else. You was somebody totally different, and now you're walking around like I just don't know who I am. I didn't move this shit. I just don't know. And one day you'll be real masculine. Some drug dealer or something that you dealt with in the past, you're acting like him. And then the next day you acting like a different dude. And then the next day your man don't even know who the hell you are. He's like, bitch, who are you? Girl, I don't know who you are. You're a different person every day. And in a spiritual sense, it's okay to do that and be that. But in a deeper sense, it's not okay, because now you're starting to you have to rise above needing a validation from other people, and it's not easy. And sometimes you have to admit that I care about this person, I care about their opinion of me, I know that I want to be better because I'm so happy being with them or whatever. And even it takes strength to even admit that you need someone. We all want to be strong, independent women, whatever. And while that's commendable, hey, baby girl, I know that sometimes you are home, you are tired, you are just done, and you don't want somebody to just penetrate you. You just want somebody to hold you and make you feel like everything's gonna be okay. You just want somebody to give you some rest so that you can cultivate your inner strength. And you deserve that. But you have to go through the hard times of not having that in order to come to a space that now you can draw that into your life and be with a man that you can truly trust. You know what I mean? Be with a man that truly cares about you, that truly trusts. And for the men, I mean, I only can speak on, I'm not a man. I can only speak on conversations I've had with brothers, and the conversations that I've had with brothers, they just want the same thing, really. And a lot of men are dealing with an insecurity now because they've been hurt by a lot of women. They also have trauma, especially a lot of childhood trauma, a lot of stuff connected with their moms that they haven't cleared. So because of their trauma and everything, they're going out thinking that just having sex with as many women as possible, especially having sex with somebody's girl, is like the wave. And like, listen, that's not the wave. Sometimes the man just wants to come home and be able to be with someone that he could trust and that maybe can mentally stimulate him, and that maybe they can have a good conversation, and maybe they could just have some dinner and relax. You know what I mean? Like you have to know the individual that you're choosing to be with so that you two will know each other's love language, and then you can start to cultivate a balanced relationship. It's about honesty. It's about honesty for sure. It's about being open with your emotions. It's not about blame. You can't constantly blame people. If somebody does something to you and you can't get over it, you and that person don't need to be together. For real. If you do not have the capacity to forgive and let it go, you got to know where to draw your lines. Like, listen, I can't take this kind of trauma, so I'm going to have to just let this go. Because honestly, no matter how good it is, me and this other individual are always going to be in a battle, you know? And sometimes you just got to let some shit go and just move on, and just know that, you know, you learned the lesson. You don't want to have another relationship end or start the way that it did. And you got to just charge it to the game and count your losses and take the lesson and move on. That's called being mature. That's called being humble. That's called being an adult, and like really, really being an adult. And it's so crazy because I've seen people that are adults, but they've mastered their adult realm so much that now they're comfortable enough to be a child again. And that's one of the most beautiful things I've seen. And they'll be completely single and happy with their life or whatever, not even looking for a chick and nothing. And eventually a chick will come along and be like, oh, I like you. Oh, I like the way you, oh, you cool. You cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I like the way you move. And they want to, and you know, if they can find an emotionally balanced woman and you have an emotionally balanced man, you know, now everybody's out here being Isis and Osiris in these streets. And they are they're a divine pairing. And that's beautiful. And I really personally want to see more of that in the world. I want to see more divine pairings. I want to see more people doing their individual healing work so that they can then come into a situation where them and the other person can love each other in a more holistic way. You know, we're all going to go through stages. The biggest thing I can say is that do not judge yourself. And do not judge yourself. Just understand what was good for you, what wasn't, let it go, and then know how you love and know the value of your love and know how empathetic you are and how willing you are to stick it out with someone and make it last in the long run, and then know what you want in your partner and what's really important and valuable for you personally. Because some women may need a man that's more attentive, that's going to text them, that's going to call them. Some women might not need that so much, but when she sees them, maybe she wants to cuddle a little more. Maybe she wants a man that's more sensual. Some women may want a man that like brings them a rose or buys them some chocolate or something. You know, some little things like that, just to show a token of appreciation and love. Like, and men are the same way. Like, there's some men that'll be like, oh, you went to the store, did you get me anything? And he might just want a hat or a t-shirt or whatever, and that would mean a lot to him, even though that hat might have only cost $12. You know what I'm saying? Or the t-shirt cost you $5, or you bought him a pack of boxes because you knew he was running low. That is being thoughtful, and everybody has a different love language, so you have to be cognizant of that and be able to put your ego to the side and be humble. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be humble, bitch, be humble. Put the ego to the side and be humble. And start to just revel and just build and vibe out, girl, vibe out to your divine feminine. Just start vibing in that divine feminine light and vibration. And as you're doing that, and you just, girl, you feeling good. You going to the gym. You doing what you need to do. You're a divine being. You're fulfilling your purpose. Like, you feel good about your life in a way that doesn't have to do with sex per se. Say you take your sexual energy and instead of having sex, you're going ahead and you're using it to cultivate something creative. Because you're a creative person. You're using it to build a business. You're using it to do this. You're using it to do that. And then on top of that, you're teaching yourself discipline. And see, that's what makes the difference, baby. It ain't about where you've been. It's about where you're going. It's about where you at. Wherever your 2 feet stand is sacred. You are sacred right now. So you got to start acting like that. I'm sacred right now. Wherever my 2 feet is the sacred ground. Wherever my 2 feet is heaven on earth. You got to start walking in that sort of grace. And as you walk in that sort of grace, now you're balancing out your divine masculine and feminine. You know what I mean? And that's pretty much all I have to say about the toxic masculinity and the toxic femininity. And I'm seeing how the toxic masculinity, it did need it to be pointed out, but I think that there needs to be a bigger conversation around toxic femininity. And I think some of us really need to come out and speak on it and check sisters and check women that are degrading their men, that are taking on so many masculine attributes because they feel like they want to compete with the man. You don't need to compete with the man when y'all in 2 different spheres. What's the point? Y'all supposed to uplift each other, and y'all are supposed to find balance. You know what I'm saying? And it's not easy to always find balance, but the competition, the competing, the what's that song? Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you. You know, y'all remember that song, Music Kid? And then, no, you can't. Yes, I can. No, you can't. That's it's not about that. It's about like, wow, you do that great, and that just inspired me, and I'm gonna do what I do better now because of you. You know what I mean? Somebody's getting funky, okay? One of these cars that just passed. But that's all I really have to say on that. And I do want to build more of a conversation. I may go deeper. I may pull out articles. Y'all know when I start going into the science of things, it's gonna get deep. I might make this a series where we can really have discussions around toxic femininity and how they can do healing work and balance their stuff out and really get to a space where they're living a more fulfilling life. Because that's the point. You don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, and you can barely remember the past. So every second your cells are changing. Every second you have an opportunity to be a new person, a new being. So if every second you have the opportunity to be a new being, you need to take every opportunity, every moment you can, and make it better than the last. Make it better than the last. Make it better than the last. Until you come to a space that now you're in like a flow. You know what I'm saying? Now you're finding like You're finding like that bliss. That bliss. I've walked in that bliss. And let me tell you, that bliss is real. You can have it with you all day long. It never has to leave, but you have to remain balanced. And it comes through meditation, it comes through discipline, and it comes through doing your healing work. You need to understand yourself. You need to understand your subconscious mind, and you need to understand the way you're operating out here in the world. Otherwise, you're always going to be in the same cycles because you haven't healed them yet. You want to change your life, you got to change those cycles that you're in. And it's not going to happen if you're not healing. So that's my, let's see if we have any comments. Thank you, Isaiah. All right. Couples, yeah. Tina Braxton said, I love seeing couples with Isis and Osiris energy. Is pretty awesome. I agree completely, girl. Nothing else really crazy. So I'm gonna go. As all, I love you infinitely as always. If you need your reading, an intuitive reading, cord cutting ceremony, or a consultation because you need help with like magic or some of your spells or whatever, whatever you're doing, dream work, stuff like that, definitely hit me up. And I love you guys. You live an inspired life. Peace.